If you're juggling way too much right now and you need someone to walk you through how to get your life back without quitting your job and moving to the woods, you're in the right place. Because here's the truth nobody talks about. You don't deserve to spend every Sunday dreading Monday. That low level dread that starts in the afternoon and ruins your whole weekend, that's not just how work is. That's your body telling you something needs to change. In this video, I'm sharing 5 strategies I actually use to reduce my own workplace stress and that I now teach my clients. These aren't generic tips. They're tools you can use starting ASAP. Hey, I'm Lavaine. I spent over 10 years in corporate finance at major banks and investment firms, successful on paper, licensed to trade, the whole picture. But behind that title, my body was telling a very different story. In 2019, I walked away, and after spending considerable time on learning more about myself and what I wanted to do for a career, I became a spiritual coach. I now work one on one with women, helping them reduce the physical stress of misaligned work so they can find work they're meant to do. So when I share what helped me manage stress when I had a corporate job, I'm not speaking from theory. I'm speaking from experience. I want to tell you something personal before we get into the strategies. There was one rule in particular where the stress was consistent, not occasional pressure, constant daily stress. And over time, that stress started showing up in my body. I lost weight, experienced painful swollen knees, and I was carrying the job with me everywhere I went. My body was paying the ultimate price. I don't want that to happen to you, and I know it might already be starting to. So let's talk about what you can actually do about it. Strategy number 1 is the end of day reflection. And I promise this is simpler than it sounds. Most of us walk out of work stressed because we can't actually name what stressed us out. Was it the 4 p.m. email, the meeting that went sideways, a colleague, the volume of work? When stress is unnamed, it follows you home. It shows up in your body, your sleep, your relationships. What I started doing was taking 5 minutes at the end of my day to ask myself what actually caused stress today. Not a journal entry, just a quick, honest check in with myself. Over time, I started to see patterns, certain people, certain situations, certain times of day. And once I could see those patterns clearly, I could actually do something about them. I also tracked what my possible triggers were. That data became incredibly useful. It helped me manage my responses and feel less at the mercy of whatever the day threw at me. Strategy number 2, create boundaries. Now, this strategy is about specifically not letting other people's urgency become your emergency. One thing I learned to do was not to respond immediately to every message or notification. I created physical and calendar boundaries. I put a sign on my desk that said "Rockstar at work." What I was saying was, I'm focused, don't interrupt me unless it's critical. And I informed my colleagues so that they were aware of my space. I also time blocked my calendar, not just blocking time for tasks, but actually evaluating whether the way I was spending my time matched my actual priorities. Was I in meetings that didn't need me? Was I reacting all day instead of working intentionally? Boundaries aren't about being unavailable. They're about being available to the things that actually matter, including your own well being. Before I get into strategies 3, 4, and 5, I want to pause and speak directly to you. If you're already feeling stuck or overwhelmed at work and you're not sure where to start in finding work you were meant to do, I want to help you. I offer one-to-one mentoring calls where I do the groundwork before we even speak. You fill out a form, I come prepared, and we spend our time focused together entirely on you and your next aligned step. Just bring your questions. The link to book is in the description box below. Check it out when the video ends. Okay, back to the strategies. Number three, recognize the difference between stress and misalignment. Now, this strategy changed everything for me. And it's this: not all stress is the same kind of stress. Hear me out. There's stress that comes from a demanding job, and then there's stress that comes from being in the wrong environment entirely. I've been in both, and they feel different. In one of my roles, the environment was genuinely toxic. Like I mentioned earlier, I lost 7 pounds in 30 days. I was stressed out to the point where I couldn't function at my best, and I started to second guess my work. At some point, I paused and I asked myself a real question. Is this stress or is this misalignment? Is this role just demanding or is this place actually right for me or not? And that distinction is critical because if it's stress, you can manage it. If it's misalignment, you need a different kind of plan. Learning to read my body signals as data, not just as discomfort, helped me make smarter decisions about where I was and where I needed to go. Strategy four is about what you do in the moment when stress peaks, and the answer starts with your breath. Deep breathing is not a cliche. When stress activates your nervous system, conscious breath is one of the only tools that brings it back down fast. I used breathing intentionally on my breaks and in moments where I felt overwhelmed or pressure building. It doesn't have to be a formal practice. Even three slow, deliberate breaths at your desk can interrupt the stress response. Alongside that, I started building in what I call strategic micro wins. At the end of the day, before I left, I would identify what I actually accomplished, not what I didn't finish, what I did finish. That shift in focus matters more than people realize. It builds evidence that you're capable, that things are moving, that your day wasn't wasted. You can also combine this with short wins throughout the day, small tasks you complete that build your momentum. Progress, even small progress, interrupts the stress cycle. Strategy five is about protecting your mental energy because decision fatigue is one of the most overlooked sources of workplace stress. Every decision you make throughout the day drains your mental energy. And by the time you hit late afternoon, you may find yourself anxious, irritable, or paralyzed by small choices, not because you're weak, but because your brain is genuinely fried. What I started doing was batching similar tasks together so my brain wasn't constantly switching gears. I also created personal process templates and checklists for my most repeated tasks so I didn't have to reinvent the wheel every single time. That alone reduced a surprising amount of daily friction. And before I left the office each day, I wrote down my top three priorities for the next day. Not 10 things, three. That single habit meant I arrived the next morning with a clear starting point instead of a blank, overwhelming slate. It reduced paralysis and made me feel more control even on hard days. Homework time, homework time. Here's your one piece of homework, and it takes less than 2 minutes. Tonight, before you go to bed, I want you to write down three things. One thing that stressed you today, one thing you accomplished today, and your top three priorities for tomorrow. That's it. No long journaling, no pressure, just three honest answers on paper or your phone. Do that consistently for 1 week and watch how much clearer and calmer you start to feel going into each day. And if you want support going deeper, remember the link to book a one-to-one mentoring call with me is in the description box below. I come prepared and we focus completely on you. You made it to the end of the video, which tells me you're someone who's genuinely ready to make a change. That matters. Don't underestimate that about yourself. If this video helped you, please share it with a friend you care about who's living close to the edge of burnout. And consider subscribing so you don't miss what's coming up in the next video. I'll be sharing more strategies to help you feel better in your body and your work. Thanks for watching.